My name is Trinity, first year. I'm a bio pre-health major, and things I'm involved with, VSA and bio club, and then, yeah, just taking classes around school.
What's your reason or aspiration for your major?
Well, I took sports medicine all 4 years of high school, so it has a really big part in like who I am and like how I view the world. And so going into university, I was like, what's the best bet of me having something super close to sports medicine? And I found being a physician for physical medicine and rehabilitation. And so now I'm a bio pre-health major because that's something I want to pursue and something I'm super interested in.
Can you tell us where you were born and raised?
I was born in Seattle, Washington, and I was raised in Kent, Washington.
I know that Kent is like mostly more like POC people. Would you agree with like that's your community growing up?
Yeah, I think there was like still majority white people. Like even going to school, like looking at the statistics, it's mostly 50% white. But other than that, the other half is pretty diverse of just people in school that you go to school with, and just like the community that you're around is like POC driven.
Was there any like I guess like cultural difficulties relating to be like Vietnamese or Asian American growing up that like sticks out to you?
I think not necessarily. I feel like I grew up, especially in elementary, with a lot of Asian people going to in my school, like my classmates and just people around me. And so it kind of just was mostly us poking fun at each other. But other than that, not really. You kind of just find the people that you like stick with throughout, starting from elementary, and you kind of just go through life. But most of the time, if we were gonna go out, like as a family, we'd come up to Seattle anyways, since it's like 30-minute drive-ish. So it wasn't too much of like me thinking I stuck out or other people sticking out. It was kind of just like I lived in the community and like we just enjoyed our time there. Yeah.
Growing up, did you ever felt the need to like, I guess, always have to stay in touch with your culture? And if so, like in what ways do you stay in touch with like your Vietnamese culture?
It's not necessarily me feeling the need to, but it kind of is just the way I grew up. Both my parents are immigrants, except my dad grew up here in Seattle all his life. He's not Viet either. And so it was kind of just the balance between all his family being here, but also I live in a household where we primarily speak Viet just because I live with my grandparents, and then we take them out, and so we're always going to Viet restaurants or the temple, or just going to Viet shows, just because part of the culture, I believe, is taking care of your elders especially. And so we're always going out to eat or celebrating Parents' Day at the temple, or New Year's is a huge thing. We decorate all over our house. So, but yeah, mostly just that.
Because I know you mentioned that your dad, I think he said he's from like the mountain tribe, right? Can you talk a little bit more about like
What?
Yeah, he's Mien. So it's, the best way to explain it is they live closer to mountains, they live in villages. They came from China first and they migrated to Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia. And so to be fair, I don't know which part or which country that my dad's part of Mien came from, but he was born in Thailand, so I'm assuming part of that. And his dad was Laos, and so I'm sure it was just within that region. Growing up, being Viet and Mien, we kind of just did both half and half of the time. Like I said before, all my dad's family, all his extended family, like all his cousins, his aunts, uncles, all live here in Washington pretty much. And so every weekend we used to go out and party all weekend. Basically all weekend, just be with family, until the morning, late in the afternoon until morning, but we still came home every weekend. I grew up going to Vietnamese school, Hom Bang Viet Ngữ in Renton at Hazen. And so every Sunday we'd go there and my dad would volunteer, even though he doesn't speak the language. He's just kind of there. And that happens a lot when we're going to the Vietnamese side of the family. But yeah, we had a good balance growing up, but I would say I definitely grew up more immersed in Vietnamese culture and just kind of hung out with my dad's family in some part, but yeah.
Being like Vietnamese or Vietnamese American like a big identity for you growing up?
I would say so. I definitely identify with being Vietnamese American, especially because if you look at things you have to fill out, like surveys you have to fill out, Mien is almost never on there. And so it's always Vietnamese and other. So being Vietnamese American is a big identity for sure. And like it's easy to recognize that I come from a multi-ethnic family. And so when it came down to it, I was growing up, my mom especially made sure that I knew what Vietnamese culture was and that we went to Vietnamese school so we can learn. We did the dances at Vietnamese school. Pretty much since I was 7, I participated in every single in Seattle until COVID year. And so I grew up doing that and doing Vo Việt Nam, which is a Vietnamese martial arts where they would yell at us in Viet. So I definitely think it's a really big part of who I am.
What about your
Mien.
How about that part of your identity? I want to hear a little bit more about it. How was it like kind of growing up?
I don't know how to speak the language, personally. My dad knows, but between his siblings and his cousins, they don't really speak it at all unless they're talking to like their parents. When we hung out every weekend growing up, and it was like big parties. They love keeping in touch with their family. Like I have cousins I don't even know about, and they just love having big, huge parties. But I think just one of the things that sticks out to me the most is when my great grandma passed. Their whole thing was just celebrating her life, and basically after her funeral, it was just a big feast where we all came together, and they're very spiritual in a different way, and something I enjoyed like looking at and being around growing up. But that definitely helps me learn to appreciate my family and appreciate being around them, because it's just a lot more fun that way, and life is like a lot easier.
What does being Vietnamese American mean to you?
I think the first word that comes to mind is community. It's a huge community, especially here in Washington. And they kind of just all love each other. I swear to you, every time we go anywhere, the first thing we do is find the first Viet restaurant, and we talk to them, like the owners, for hours. And it's always family owned and family oriented. Even just going to like Little Saigon in multiple different places, California especially, they love going to California. But it's just like a huge community where you can find bits and pieces in everything that you look at, and like it could just be food, or it could be like the community aspect of just getting together. But yeah, I think community is definitely the first word that comes to mind.
What cultural teaching have you learned from your life or your family that you stick with?
I guess just growing up with parents who are immigrants, and I just think in general, not just being Viet, but appreciating the things that we have and the things that were given to us is something that I've learned and have taken with me. I'm a first-gen student. Both my parents only graduated high school. Being able to appreciate the fact that we are fortunate enough that I can go to school, and I did go to school, and I have food, I have housing, I live at home right now, I commute, so I have a car, and then being fortunate enough to be able to just meet new people because I'm able to spend my time not just working and scrounging for things that I need, but to be able to enjoy life. Appreciating things definitely comes from my family. I think it's easy to say, especially because both my parents didn't grow up rich. They didn't grow up even wealthy or in a regular tax bracket. And hearing stories from them, especially my dad not being able to afford college, was something with him, and my mom being her first of her family to come here to the United States and bringing everyone over. I appreciate just having them have my back and everything that I've done.
What's your favorite Vietnamese food that is not basic?
Bangkok
I like that.
is my favorite.
Period. What would be your second option, just because?
Bánh bột lọc.
I like you.
Thanks.
Do you have a favorite Vietnamese saying?
I think recently it's male because I have a cat and my grandparents constantly are talking to her, and so I think my cat's bilingual now.
Wow.
At this point. At least she knows the word ang, and she goes to eat when she eats. But they talk to her in Viet and they go meow, and then it is. So I think that's my favorite word right now.
What does success mean to you as a college student, Vietnamese American, and a young adult?
Being successful to me has a lot of different meanings. I guess I would love to be successful in my work life eventually, but mostly being successful to me, I believe, is being happy where I am in life, because if I'm not enjoying the things that I'm doing or enjoying myself as a person, there lacks success, because then why am I doing it? If I'm not happy where I am, why am I doing it? So I think success to me, just throughout life, is to be happy and enjoy it. No regrets.
What lesson or advice would you give to another college student, Vietnamese American, or just someone in the same?
That it's okay to say no. And the reason why I say this is because taking on too much is just as bad as not doing anything at all. And it spreads you out thin, and often you get stressed and, again, unhappy. So why do that to yourself? It's okay to say no to things you don't want to do, and it's okay to say no just because you can. And it's okay that you can't do stuff, because you're able to learn. And so being able to say no and recognizing that you are not perfect and you can't know everything in the world is okay. And so to any college students, upcoming college students, or just people going through life, I think that's the first thing I would tell them.
What hope or message do you have to the Vietnamese culture and community?
I hope that the community has everything they want, and that everything that they need, that they believe that we are in a good place to be a community and to be happy. But I just hope that everyone in the community is successful and they know that they have that community behind them. Because oftentimes it's easy to feel alone, especially Vietnamese people coming as immigrants, and a lot of them, like my mom, coming as first gen people here, that they have that community that they can